Hi, Josie. It's Nick. I'm going to show you how to land on another planet. Here's the little lander that I showed you last time. It's a little modified, a bit bigger motor on it, or a bigger engine, I should say. Fuel tank, not a bigger motor. An RCS system. Everything else is basically the same. This actually isn't the moon. This is Minimus. This is what Minimus looks like. Minimus is further out. It's on a kind of a kiltered axis. If you can get to it, I recommend trying to land here. It's actually easier because these flat areas here that are all over the planet are actually at sea level. It's supposed to be the ocean, and it's frozen because it's so far out. It makes it much easier to use the gauges to actually land on it. You can land on the moon. It's the exact same thing. There's no difference between landing on Minimus and the moon. The gravity here is a little bit lower, so it's a little bit more forgiving. But if you can land here, you can land on the moon. There's no difference. I'm out here because I didn't fly anything out. This has been orbiting here for a little while that I've had. Kind of just left it out here one time. So let's pick a spot where we're going to land. I like to land on the light side of anything. I believe we're going clockwise here just because it's easier to see. So I'm going to aim. Actually, going to aim up here on this mountain. So what I'll do is you can do it with a maneuver. I showed you how to do before, but I'm just going to simply point towards retrograde, which remember is just basically backwards, and make a burn. And you will see this shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, and eventually it'll get so low that you're more or less skimming the planet, and it'll probably have a contact point. It'll show you here. Now, most likely I'm not going to land here. Most likely I'm going to land back here, or maybe even in this ocean, because of how much you slow down as you come in to land. So what this is telling you is if nothing changes, if your speed does not change, this is where you will land. But your speed, of course, is going to change because you're going to slow down before you get there, and because once the gravity of this planet or moon technically takes over, it's going to pull you in quicker. So you're fighting it the whole way. So not to mention it's actually spinning, which from where I am, I think it's actually spinning this way. I believe. I think it spins clockwise from top. So regardless, doesn't matter. You can aim anywhere you want. You're not going to land exactly where you aim. So if you want to land back here, overshoot it because you will come down a lot quicker than you realize. So it's real simple. All you got to do, adjust the camera the way you like it, adjust the ship the way you like it. What I do is I'll rotate this because I like to look at this as if it were the planet. So here's my horizon line. Okay, this just makes controls a lot easier. Right is right, down is down, up is up, and I am still in orbit. So I'm going to warp up. This shows me going around the planet quicker and obviously coming down. Here's that ridge, I believe. Yeah, so it's actually spinning. I'll slow this down pretty quickly because I'm coming in pretty quick. I'm actually gaining speed because of the orbit, but this is actually spinning counterclockwise. So I may actually land closer to where I am just because of the rotation of the moon here. So same thing. I'm just going to keep the nose of the ship pointed towards retrograde, which is basically right at the camera, which is easy to see because it's just this retrograde symbol. And what it's basically telling you is I'm falling backwards with my motor falling this way. So our direction is actually this way, towards this corner of the screen. And I have the back end of my ship facing this way. Now this isn't actually how you do it in real life, and this isn't how you should do it forever. The idea is you build a vehicle that goes from orbit to orbit, it undocks, then it lands, then it takes off, rendezvous with that vehicle, whatever happens to be in orbit, and then takes off and goes home, because you're not going to have the fuel to get back. You can get this thing back in orbit, but you'll never get back to the planet, because I don't have enough fuel on board. I'm just showing you basically how to land. So, as you see, we're not going to reach to zero because we're not landing in an ocean, and this has to do with sea level. We're going to land up on top of this, and I have no idea how high it is, so we're going to have to just judge it by eye, which isn't hard to do. At some point, right around 11 to 10 kilometers, you'll see this change from orbit to surface. Somewhere right in here. Should do it any second. So we pass through 11 kilometers. Oh, hasn't done it yet. So warp up a little bit till it does. Well, it still hasn't changed. I'm not sure why. But regardless, we're going to slow ourselves down. So start burning towards retrograde a little bit just to start to slow your speed because it looks like we're coming up on a flat part as well as this mountain peak, and I really don't want to have to land on that mountain peak. No, we can if we end up that far. So I'm slowing myself down, slowing my orbit down, which is just making my ship drop more vertical um, because we are technically still in orbit. Okay, I'm going to open my gear. You can do that by pressing G on your keyboard, or you can press the little gear button up here. I'm also going to turn my lights on. I'll press U, and you'll see them turn on up at the top there. Still barely burning, just barely burning. The motor's just barely on. It's just kind of keeping me at about 75 meters per second. I'm going to turn them up a little bit because it looks like I'm coming down at a much steeper angle than I want to. So again, I'm going to try to keep my ship right on retrograde. At some point you will be able to see your shadow. There it is. So I'm going to slow down quite a bit more because I'm coming up on this mountain here. As you slow down, your retrograde will get steeper and steeper and steeper. And now you can start to see the reaction of my lights on the surface. Oh, and I overshot that. So now my ship is actually going back up, which is okay, because eventually gravity's just going to pull me right back down. Having an RCS system on board really does help too. You can make small adjustments. As you can see, I'm not falling straight down. I am pretty high, but I'm sliding to one side. So I can make those adjustments as I need to try to get retrograde right on the top of that ball, on the bottom of the screen. So now retrograde is pretty much vertical, which means I'm falling straight down. I'm not sliding in any direction, not angled any certain way, and I am going straight down very slowly, very slowly. So I'm falling at about 5 meters per second. This is what makes Minimus a lot easier than the moon. The gravity would be pulling you down on the moon a lot quicker than that, so you'd have to be using a lot more fuel. You can do it, it's just you're going to pay a little bit more attention as you're doing it. Looks like I'm starting to slide off to one side just a little bit, but that's okay. I can always bring that right back, use a little RCS, and whoa. I'm going to thrust down. So I'm only going to use RCS. Tap it a couple times, and whoop, there you go. That is how you land on the moon. Now, I don't have any solar panels on this, so electric charge will eventually die out, and if it does die out, you're done. There's nothing you can do, so I'm going to shut the lights off. Now you can extend ladders, if you have them, and you'll see the ladder extend. I have two because of how tall this monstrosity is that I built. So now there's a ladder that goes all the way to the ground, up to the capsule door. I'm going to select EVA, and there we go. There's my little guy. Crawl down the ladder. The controls are same ASDW, just like it is to control the ship. And then you get to the bottom, you press space, and you can let go. Whoop, and I fell off the ladder. And there we go. I'm on the surface. Want to mark it with a special occasion? Right-click your guy. You can actually plant a flag. So he pulls it out of his pocket, puts it on the ground, it opens up. And then it asks you to name the site. I think this is the 4th time I've done this here. I think. There we go. And that's it. You can turn RCS on for the actual guy himself and fly him around. Shift will make him go up, and then when he's in the air, you can control him in all kinds of different directions. Be very careful because you do run out of that eventually. If you click on your resources, it doesn't actually show you with them, but it'll show you exactly how much fuel you have. There's really no way you can hurt them. They will kind of crash and fall and jump into things, but that's pretty much it. That's how you land on something. Now, taking off is as simple as getting in and thrusting up. You will not be able to get back to the planet with this design. There is not enough fuel on board, so the next part to learn is docking in space, which is the next video that I will make and send to you on my space station program that I'm building. Um, and yeah, so try it, have a little fun. Again, I recommend Minimus as an easier landing spot just because of how low the gravity is here. And if you jump, you kind of just keep going. Eventually, he'll come back down, but he can jump about 50 feet in the air. You can turn on your jetpacks in the meantime, slow your descent, or just fly around the planet. Careful, don't fly out too much, because if you do want to get back to the ship, you do have to get back to it, and you will have to walk if you run out of fuel, which I have done. You can build rovers and little cars and landers and all kinds of things. I have not gotten that far. I've seen images of it. I haven't figured out how to do that quite yet, but there is a way to do it. I have no idea how to do it. And that is how you land on another planet. As this guy commits suicide. Ah! Oh, I'm getting dizzy just watching. You will knock them out. They'll daze for a little while, and then they get right back up. So, have at it. Try that one. You know how to get to orbit, so just combine what I showed you before with this video, and you should be able to land anywhere. Just remember the bigger the place is you're landing, the more mass, the more gravity, the harder it is. Just make sure that you keep that in mind. The moon has more gravity than Minimus, but less than Kerman. So just have at it.